Most men will never know the truth about what really drives women. It's not because they don't care or don't try hard enough. It's because society has lied to them about what women truly want and how they really think. The hard truth is that understanding women means understanding their weaknesses, not to exploit them, but to finally take control of your life and relationships. And today, I'm going to reveal 5 hidden weaknesses that every man must master. By the end of this video, you won't just know them. You'll know exactly how to use them to become the man every woman respects, desires, and cannot resist. Let me start by saying this. If you're tired of feeling like you're always one step behind in your relationships, this video is for you. If you've ever wondered why women seem so hard to understand, why what they say and what they do rarely line up, you're not alone. And no, it's not because women are impossible to figure out. Women will never openly admit these weaknesses, but they run deeper than you might think. And once you understand them, you'll not only unlock a level of confidence you've never felt before, but you'll also see how to stop making mistakes that push women away. This isn't about manipulating or playing games. It's about knowing the psychological truths that drive female behavior and using them to become the strong, decisive man you were always meant to be. Let's dive right in. Number 1. Emotional validation is her greatest weakness. Women are emotional creatures. This is not an insult. It's a reality. Their emotions drive their decisions, fuel their connections, and shape how they view the world. And here's the truth most men fail to see. Emotional validation is the key that unlocks a woman's heart. It's not optional. It's not a bonus. It's the foundation of any connection, whether it's a casual conversation, a dating relationship, or a marriage. Without it, you're just another man in the background, easy to dismiss, easy to replace. But with it, you become the man who stands out, the man she can't help but think about. When a woman feels emotionally validated, her walls come down. She starts to see you as more than just someone to talk to. You become her safe space, her anchor, the person she can rely on when the rest of the world feels overwhelming. Most men fail to give this because they're stuck in their own logic. They hear her venting about her day and immediately want to fix the problem. They think they're being helpful by offering solutions, but in her mind you're missing the point entirely. She doesn't need a fixer. She needs a listener. She needs someone who can see her emotions for what they are and acknowledge them without trying to control them. Imagine this scenario. She comes home frustrated because her boss didn't appreciate her hard work. Most men will say, "Don't let it bother you," or "Just ignore it." What does that do? It dismisses her emotions. It tells her what you're feeling isn't important to me. And even though you think you're helping, you're creating distance between you and her. But when you say something like "It sounds like you put in so much effort, and it's frustrating not to get the recognition you deserve," everything changes. You've just validated her experience. You've made her feel seen and understood in a way most people never do. That's the moment she starts to feel closer to you. Validation doesn't mean agreeing with everything she says. It doesn't mean pretending she's always right. It's about recognizing her feelings as real, even if they don't make sense to you. Women often process emotions in ways that seem irrational to men, but that doesn't make those emotions any less valid. If you brush them off, you lose her respect. If you acknowledge them, you gain her trust. Think about the last time a woman was upset about something that seemed small or insignificant to you. Maybe it was a comment someone made or a minor inconvenience in her day. Instead of saying "You're overreacting, try this," "I can see why that would upset you. That sounds really frustrating." Watch how her demeanor changes. Suddenly she feels like you're on her side, like you understand her in a way most men don't. And in that moment you've created a connection that goes deeper than words. Emotional validation is not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. Your tone, your body language, your willingness to listen without interrupting, all of it matters. If she's telling you about something that upset her, put your phone down. Look her in the eyes, nod when she's talking. These small gestures show her that she has your full attention, and that's worth more to her than any advice you could ever give. Let me make this clear. Validation isn't a weakness. It's not about pandering to her emotions or losing your sense of self. It's about understanding that her emotions are a part of who she is. And by validating them, you're showing her that you accept her completely. And when a woman feels accepted, her attraction to you deepens in ways you can't imagine. There's a reason why so many women say, "I just want someone who listens." It's because listening is a lost art. Most men are too busy waiting for their turn to speak, thinking about what they'll say next or dismissing her emotions entirely. But when you listen, truly listen, you stand out. You become the man who gets her, the man who sees her for who she really is. And that's a man she can't help but respect and admire. But don't mistake validation for weakness. It's not about being a doormat or letting her walk all over you. It's about being strong enough to hold space for her emotions without letting them control you. A man who can validate a woman's feelings without losing his composure is a man who commands respect. He's a man who knows his worth and isn't afraid to show compassion. Some men think this sounds too soft, like it's catering to her needs at the expense of your own. But let me ask you this. What's stronger, dismissing her emotions and creating distance, or validating her emotions and building a connection that makes her want to be around you? Strength isn't about avoiding emotions. It's about facing them head on and knowing how to handle them with confidence. Here's another example to drive this home. She's venting about a disagreement with her friend. Most men will jump to conclusions, offering advice or trying to downplay the situation. But what if instead you said, "It sounds like that conversation really hurt you. I can see why it's bothering you." In that moment, you're not just validating her feelings. You're showing her that you care enough to understand her perspective. That's what makes a man irreplaceable. Validation isn't just a skill, it's a mindset. It's the understanding that emotions aren't something to be fixed. There's something to be acknowledged. When you shift your perspective and start seeing her emotions as an opportunity to connect rather than a problem to solve, everything changes. She starts to open up to you in ways she never has before. She starts to trust you more, respect you more, and desire you more. Women don't want a man who's perfect. They want a man who's present. They want a man who can handle their emotions without running away, shutting down, or trying to take control. And when you become that man, you'll find that relationships become easier, more fulfilling, and far more rewarding. Number 2, she's obsessed with being understood. A woman's deepest fear isn't rejection or being left behind. It's not being understood. This obsession with being understood drives nearly every interaction, every argument, every frustration she experiences. If you've ever been caught in a fight that seemed to come out of nowhere, chances are it wasn't about what you said. It was about how you made her feel. Women crave connection, but at the core of that connection is the feeling that someone truly gets them. And if she feels like you don't understand her, she will withdraw, create drama, or even start looking for someone else who will. When she says, "You don't listen to me," what she's really saying is, "You don't see me." And nothing cuts deeper to her than feeling invisible to the person she values most. This is where most men fail. They hear the words but miss the meaning. They get defensive, argue back, or try to rationalize the situation, not realizing they're walking straight into a trap of their own making. You see, being understood isn't just a preference for women, it's a need. And if you don't fulfill that need, no amount of gifts, compliments, or grand gestures will ever make up for it. She'll still feel like something's missing, like you're not the man she thought you were. But when you show her that you do understand her, you'll create a bond so strong that no one else can compete. Understanding her doesn't mean agreeing with everything she says. It doesn't mean abandoning your own logic or letting her dictate the relationship. It means listening to her, not just to her words, but to the emotions behind them. It means showing her that her feelings matter to you, even if you don't share them. For example, imagine she's upset about a conversation with her friend. She says, "I feel like she's always dismissing me." Most men will respond with something like, "You're overthinking it," or "She probably didn't mean it like that." And in doing so, they've just confirmed her worst fear, that you don't get it, that you don't care enough to try. But if you respond by saying, "It sounds like you're hurt because you feel unappreciated in that friendship," you've just done something most men never do. You've shown her that you understand how she feels, and that alone can completely change the dynamic of your relationship. Let's take it even deeper. When a woman shares her frustrations, she's not just venting, she's testing you. She's looking to see if you're the kind of man who can handle her emotions, who can step up and give her the understanding she craves. And if you fail that test, she'll start to lose respect for you. She may not even realize it at first, but over time that lack of understanding will erode her attraction to you. But if you pass that test, if you listen, validate, and show her that you truly understand, she'll feel a level of connection to you that she's never felt before. Here's where it gets even more important. A woman's obsession with being understood isn't just about the big conversations or dramatic fights. It's about the little moments too. It's about the way you respond when she tells you about her day. It's about whether you notice when she's feeling off, even if she doesn't say anything. It's about whether you pay attention to the things that matter to her, even if they seem trivial to you. For example, let's say she mentions that she's nervous about an upcoming meeting at work. A man who doesn't understand her will brush it off, say, "You'll do fine," and move on. But a man who gets her will take a moment to dig deeper. He'll ask her what's making her nervous. He'll acknowledge her feelings and remind her of her strengths. And in doing so, he'll show her that he sees her not just as a woman, but as a human being with fears, dreams, and vulnerabilities. This is what separates the men who truly connect with women from the ones who don't. Most men treat women like puzzles to be solved, trying to figure out the right thing to say or do to get the outcome they want. But women aren't puzzles, they're people. And what they want more than anything is to feel seen, heard, and understood. If you can give her that, you'll become the man she can't stop thinking about. But don't confuse understanding with weakness. Being a man who understands women doesn't mean letting her emotions dictate your life. It doesn't mean sacrificing your own boundaries or losing your sense of self. It means being strong enough to hold space for her emotions without being consumed by them. It means showing her that you can handle her at her worst without losing your composure. And that kind of strength is rare. Most men crumble when faced with a woman's emotions. They either get defensive, shut down, or try to fix the problem as quickly as possible so they don't have to deal with it anymore. But a truly strong man stays calm, listens, and responds with clarity and confidence. He doesn't let her emotions control him, but he also doesn't dismiss them. He finds the balance between understanding her and staying true to himself, and that balance is what makes him irresistible. Let me put it this way. A woman will forgive a lot of things, but she will never forgive feeling misunderstood. She'll forgive mistakes, arguments, even moments of weakness. But if she feels like you don't see her for who she really is, she'll start to pull away. And once that happens, it's almost impossible to get her back. So don't underestimate the power of understanding. Don't think it's enough to just listen to her words without paying attention to the emotions behind them. Don't think you can buy her affection or win her over with surface-level gestures. If you want to connect with her on a deeper level, you have to show her that you understand her, not just as a woman, but as a person. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect. It doesn't mean you'll always know the right thing to say or do. But it does mean you have to try. You have to be willing to listen, to ask questions, and to show her that her feelings matter to you. And when you do, you'll find that the rewards are worth it. You'll find that she starts to trust you more, open up to you more, and rely on you in ways she's never relied on anyone else. Understanding isn't just a skill, it's a mindset. It's about shifting your perspective, and realizing that her emotions aren't a problem to be solved. They're an opportunity to connect. When you embrace that mindset, everything changes. She starts to see you as the man who truly gets her, the man who stands out from all the rest. And that's a position no one else can take from you. Number 3. Confidence attracts but control repels. Let's be real. Women don't fall for the guy who tries to own them. They fall for the guy who doesn't need to. There's a huge difference between confidence and control. Confidence is rooted in self-respect. Control, that's born out of insecurity. And no matter how you dress it up, women can feel the difference. Here's the thing, confidence is silent. It doesn't shout, it doesn't beg, it doesn't chase. It walks into the room and doesn't need to do anything extra. That kind of energy. It draws her in naturally. She can sense it. It's in your eyes, in the way you speak, in how comfortable you are in your own skin. She feels it before she understands it. Control, on the other hand, tries to force what confidence attracts. It says, don't wear that. It says, where are you going? It's the need to know, the urge to manage the fear of losing. And women don't respect fear, they lose trust in it. Because when a man tries to control, what he's really saying is, I don't trust myself enough to let you choose me freely. Confidence is allowing her to be herself. It's trusting that who you are is enough to keep her attention without micromanaging her every move. You don't need to check her phone. You don't need to interrogate her friends. You're too grounded for that. You have standards, yes. You have boundaries, absolutely. But you're not threatened. Because when she's with you, she's choosing you, and you know what you bring to the table. Now here's a truth, most men never learn the less you try to own her, the more she wants to be yours. Why? Because freedom is attractive. Because emotional safety doesn't come from restriction. It comes from a man who leads without forcing. A man who stands firm in his path, but never blocks hers. Let me give you a straight example. 2 men text a woman. The first guy says, why didn't you reply to my last message? I saw you online. The second guy says nothing. He just continues living his life, building, moving forward. Guess which guy she thinks about more? Control screams, I need validation. Confidence says, I am enough whether you see it or not. That energy is magnetic. It makes her lean in. It creates mystery. It makes her wonder what you're up to, not because you're playing games, but because you're too busy being who you are to beg for attention. And that difference, it's everything. Stoic masculinity teaches us this control is an illusion. You don't control her, and you don't need to. You control yourself, your energy, your actions, your words. That's all you ever need to master. The rest takes care of itself. So ask yourself, are you being confident, or are you trying to control because you're afraid? Are you leading with calm certainty or chasing with emotional chaos? Because here's what women pick up on: your energy, not your words. You can say all the right things, but if your vibe says, I'm desperate to keep you, she'll feel it. And once she feels it, respect starts to fade. But if your energy says, I know who I am, I want you, but I don't need to keep you, then you're powerful, you're free, and that freedom makes you unforgettable. Remember this, the man she respects isn't the one who follows her around trying to convince her to stay. It's the one who's so in control of his own world that she doesn't want to leave. So drop the urge to manage her. Focus on managing you. Keep your center strong. Keep your standards high. Show her what it feels like to be with a man who's whole, without needing her to complete him. And that right there is the man she keeps thinking about. The man she respects. The man she comes back to, even if she walks away first. If this part hits something real, just drop a comment like I've seen this, or that's me, I read them. And if you're ready for the next one, what she really responds to when you pull back, then you're going to want to keep watching. Number 4. Her desire for security is a hidden driver. She may never say it out loud. She might not even fully realize it herself. But deep down, one of the strongest forces guiding her behavior, especially in how she relates to men, is her desire for security. Now, we're not just talking about money or protection from physical danger. That's part of it, sure. But this goes deeper. Emotional security, psychological stability, knowing that the man she's with won't collapse when things get hard, that he can handle her moods, the chaos of life, and still remain grounded. Every woman wants a man who makes her feel safe, even when the world doesn't, not controlled, not trapped, but safe. There's a difference. And here's where a lot of guys mess this up. They think being a safe man means being overly agreeable, saying yes to everything, or being her emotional sponge. That's not it. That's actually exhausting for her. What creates security is consistency, backbone, boundaries. A man who leads with calm, not chaos. Think about this. When you're calm under pressure, when you make decisions without drama, when you say what you mean and mean what you say, that's when she starts to let her guard down. Because she sees you're solid, not perfect, not robotic, but reliable, predictable in your principles, unpredictable in your adventure. That's the balance. Now here's the wild part. When she doesn't feel secure, she'll test you. She might push your buttons. She might question your choices. Not because she's trying to ruin things, but because at a primal level she wants to see if you'll bend or break. Will you get reactive? Will you fold? Or will you stay composed? The moment she realizes she can't shake your center, that's when she starts leaning in. That's when she starts trusting you more, respecting you more, opening up without fear. This is why Stoicism matters. Not the philosophy in books, but the way you live it. The ability to detach from drama, to see emotions without drowning in them, to observe without immediately reacting. When she senses that in you, she feels like she can exhale. That feeling, it's rare. And that rarity makes you valuable. So what can you do with this insight? Start by being your own anchor. Don't get pulled into every mood shift or emotional wave she throws out. Let her express herself, but you don't have to match her fire with fire. Meet it with structure. When she's spiraling, you ground. When she's anxious, you breathe slower. When she's uncertain, you lead with calm. And this goes beyond relationships. The way you show up in your life, your work, your habits, it all signals something to her. A man who takes care of his path, takes care of his body, his time and his mindset, is signaling that he can take care of her too, not by sacrificing himself, but by having overflow, by having enough stability in himself that she doesn't have to carry both weights. That's the kind of security she craves. That's what draws her in and keeps her there. But don't take my word for it. Watch her behavior. Watch how she reacts when you stop explaining yourself so much, when you lead with quiet direction instead of begging for agreement, when your energy says, "I've got me, you don't have to." And here's something you can try right now. Next time she brings you a problem or an emotional story, instead of solving it or rushing to comfort her, just listen, be fully present, let her feel heard. Then pause. Take a breath before you answer. That space, those few seconds of grounded silence, can be more reassuring than 1,000 words. Why? Because it shows her you're not reacting, you're responding, you're choosing. And that's what makes her feel safe. And listen, if you've made it this far into the video, it means you care about becoming the kind of man who doesn't just attract women but earns their respect. You want depth, not games. You want power with presence. That's what we're building here. So, if this resonates with you, don't miss what's coming next, the next part. It reveals something women respond to without even realizing it, and how most men blow it because they're too eager. And if you haven't already, this is the time to subscribe. Not just to stay updated, but to join a community of men committed to stoic strength and real transformation. Hit the subscribe button and consider becoming a channel member. That's where we go even deeper, exclusive content, tighter conversations, and tools that sharpen you every single week. Now, let's keep going. Number 5. She's overwhelmed by her own emotions. Let's clear something up. Most men misunderstand just how intense a woman's inner world really is. When a woman is into you, truly attracted, she's not just thinking about you, she's feeling you, on levels you can't always see. Her body, her heart, her brain, they're all reacting at once. And when those systems collide, it can create confusion and even emotional overload. Now here's the twist. When she's overwhelmed, she won't always show it the way you expect. She might pull away, she might get cold, she might even act like she doesn't care. But deep down, she's fighting a storm that she doesn't fully know how to name. Why does this matter to you? Because if you misread this moment, you'll chase when you should pause, you'll fix when you should stay still. And that's how you lose her interest. The truth is, women crave emotional safety, but they also fear emotional exposure. So when she starts catching feelings, when her thoughts start racing, and she notices she's thinking about you at night, replaying conversations, wondering where she stands, it shakes her up. That emotional intensity can be too much all at once. This is where you have to be different. Most men either lean in too hard or vanish completely. But you're going to hold your ground. You're going to give her space without abandoning her. You're going to let her feel what she needs to feel without rushing to manage it for her. Let's break that down. Imagine she texts you a little less, or she seems distant for a day or two. Your instinct might be to double text, call, push for answers. Don't. That's a reaction. And reactions come from fear. What works instead is this patience with presence. You stay calm. You go live your life. You remain consistent but not needy. You're not punishing her. You're just not collapsing into her storm. And that right there is powerful. Because guess what? She wants you to remain solid. Even if she can't say it, even if she's pushing you away for a moment, deep down she's watching how you respond. If you stay grounded while she's emotionally spinning, you become her anchor. And once the storm passes, she'll remember who stayed calm. She'll feel safe to come back closer. Stoicism isn't about being cold. It's about being centered. It's about holding space for her emotion without letting it throw you off your path. You don't need to fix her mood. You just need to not drown in it. Here's something subtle to remember. Emotions don't always need logic. They need time. When you understand that her distance might actually be her way of protecting herself from the intensity she feels, suddenly you stop personalizing it. You start playing the long game. And this is where the real masculine energy shows up. Not in chasing her down, but in knowing she's feeling more than she admits, and letting her process it in her own time. Women respect the man who doesn't need to be reassured constantly, who understands her silence, who holds the moment with grace. Let her miss you. Let her come to terms with her own emotion. That's part of her journey. And when she realizes that you never flinched, that you didn't guilt her or chase her or fall apart, that's when she starts to trust you more than she even expected. Because you weren't just another emotional spike in her already chaotic wave. You were the calm. That's rare, that's attractive, that's unforgettable. And here's the best part: when she feels that level of emotional safety, she won't want to hide from you. She'll open up, she'll lean in, she'll crave more of that experience. Not because you did something, but because of what you didn't do. You didn't get caught in her storm, you let her ride it, and you stayed planted. If you've seen this play out in your own life, drop a comment. You could just write, "I felt that," or "That's her." You never know who needs to read that right now. And if this part hit you hard, wait until the next one. It's all about how her attraction spikes when your energy pulls instead of pushes. You're going to want to hear it. Ready for it. Let's move forward. Number 6. She's drawn to masculine indifference. Here's something most guys don't want to admit but need to understand. When you stop reacting to every little thing she does, when you stop trying to prove how much you care, something shifts in her. Not in a small way. In a big, chemical, almost primal way. She starts leaning in. It's not about being cold. It's not about playing games. Masculine indifference is not about apathy. It's about being centered, calm, focused on your own life so fully that you're not easily pulled off your path by her moods, her tests, or even her beauty. And the wild part is that's exactly what pulls her in. Here's why. Women are emotional creatures. That's not an insult, it's a truth. Their world moves through feeling, through intuition, through energy. And when they're around someone who stays emotionally solid, who doesn't swing with every mood, they feel a sense of gravity, a pull, a curiosity. They want to know more. You're not giving her the constant reassurance she's used to. You're not over-explaining your actions. You're not trying to get a reaction. And that subtle shift where your energy becomes less about her and more about you, that's when she feels it. It's like standing near a fire. You can feel the heat, but you can't control it. That's how your calm energy hits her nervous system. And once she senses that you're not seeking approval or attention, you become mysterious. You become powerful. Let me be clear, this doesn't mean you never show affection. This doesn't mean you're distant or rude. It means your validation is earned, not given freely to anyone just because they're attractive. That's what masculine indifference is. It's the ability to remain unshaken, even when she's being overly flirty, cold, or confusing. When she's used to guys blowing up her phone and you're not chasing. When she's used to men folding, when she pulls back and you don't flinch, you stand out. You become the exception. And deep down she's drawn to it, even if her words say otherwise. She may test it, she may poke at it. She may say, "Why aren't you more open?" But underneath that surface level question is a different one. Why does this feel so intense? Because the emotional self-control you're displaying creates tension. The good kind. The kind that makes her mind wander when you're not around. The kind that makes her play back your last message and wonder why she wants more. Here's a secret. That hunger she feels, it doesn't grow when you explain yourself. It doesn't grow when you chase. It grows in the space. It grows in the silence. It grows in your ability to hold back just enough to let her lean forward. And when she leans in, she's not just chasing a man. She's chasing certainty, groundedness, masculine presence. Women fall hardest for the man they can't shake. The one who remains steady when everything else around her is emotional chaos. You want to be unforgettable. Be the one guy who doesn't react to everything. Be the one guy who lets her feel what she wants to feel without needing to fix it or match it. Let her sit in her own emotions while you remain anchored in yours. That's the paradox. When you stop trying to hold her attention, she'll start trying to hold yours. And if you've ever played it too safe, tried too hard, or over-explained yourself in the past, this is your moment to shift the frame, to stop proving and start embodying. Let her feel you're calm. Let her wonder what you're thinking. Let her feel that you're there but not chasing. Because when you make her feel like you're the storm, not the sailboat, she can't help but be drawn in. If you've seen this in your life, if you've ever felt that shift from needy to grounded, drop a comment below. Something simple like "I've seen it happen" or "This hit hard." We read everyone. And in the next part, we're diving into something even more powerful, how your emotional contrast creates a magnetic dynamic she can't resist. Stay with me. Let's move. Number 7. When you become her emotional contrast. Let's get real. Most guys match a woman's energy because they think it's the right thing to do. She gets loud, they get louder. She's upset, they try to calm her down by getting emotional themselves. She cries, they panic. But here's the thing, that doesn't build attraction, that builds sameness. What actually pulls her in? When you become her emotional contrast. Think of it like this. Feminine energy is flow. It's movement, emotion expression, sometimes unpredictable, often intense. And it's beautiful but also exhausting if there's nothing to ground it. That's where you come in. Masculine energy is structure. It's stillness. It's presence. If she's a storm, you're the mountain. When you hold that energy, when you don't collapse under pressure or feed into her spirals, she feels it. and she respects it, even if she fights it in the moment. This isn't about ignoring her. It's not about being distant. It's about showing her through your calm that you can hold space for her emotions without becoming her emotions. Let that sink in. She doesn't need you to cry when she cries. She doesn't need you to be loud when she's overwhelmed. What she's looking for subconsciously is your balance, your poise, your ability to stay rooted while she moves around you. This contrast creates safety, and safety leads to surrender. Here's a real example. Say she throws an emotional jab. You don't care about me. Most guys go into defense mode. What? Of course I do. I texted you all day yesterday. But a man who understands contrast responds differently. He doesn't defend. He doesn't panic. He stays calm and present. He might say something like, "That's not true, and I'm not going to argue about it." That response changes the dynamic instantly, because now she's not leading you emotionally, you're holding the emotional frame. And that calm confidence, it's magnetic. It makes her feel like she can let go of control for a moment. And that's what feminine energy secretly wants. Now here's the part most guys miss. You're not trying to suppress your emotions, you're mastering them. This means you're aware of your feelings, but they don't run the show. You choose your reactions. You decide how you show up. And in doing that, you offer her something rare, a man who doesn't get swept away. She starts leaning in. She starts opening up more, not because you're matching her, but because your emotional contrast makes her feel like she can relax. And yes, this is attractive, not in a flashy bad boy kind of way, but in a deep, grounded, I want to feel that again kind of way. She'll find herself thinking about how calm you were when she was anxious, how focused you stayed when she was spiraling, how you didn't flinch when things got messy. That contrast makes an impact. But remember, it has to be real. You can't fake calm. You can't pretend to be stoic while seething underneath. Women are intuitive. She'll pick up on the performance. That's why this isn't a trick. It's a practice. You build this over time, through meditation, through self-control, through choosing presence instead of panic, through learning how to breathe instead of bite back. And when you do, you stop being just another guy. You become the grounding force in her world of movement. You become the emotional contrast she didn't know she needed, and she won't forget it. If you've ever been that calm in the chaos, if you've seen how she reacts when you don't match her storm, leave a comment. Write something like, "That's me," or "I felt this." That's how I know you're actually applying this, not just watching. And trust me, the next part goes even deeper. We're about to break down why self-control isn't just sexy. It's addictive. So stay close. Let's keep going. Number 8. She romanticizes your self-control. Here's something women will never tell you outright, but they absolutely feel it. Your self-control is not just respected, it's romanticized. It's not the wild guy who texts her 17 times in a row. It's not the overly emotional man who vents everything he feels instantly. It's the guy who could, but doesn't. The one who knows when to speak and when silence says more. That's the man she can't stop thinking about. Why? Because self-control equals strength. And strength, real strength, is rare. Let's be honest. In today's world, most guys are reactive. The moment they feel desire, they act on it. The moment they feel jealousy, they speak it. The moment they feel anxiety, they project it. There's no pause, no presence, no choice, just impulse, and she sees it. She experiences it all the time. That's why when she meets a man who has urges, but doesn't need to act on them immediately, who listens more than he talks, who doesn't try to impress or overshare or force the vibe, it flips a switch in her. Because now she's dealing with mystery, with mastery, with someone who doesn't chase validation from her, but controls his own frame. And that's deeply attractive. Here's what a lot of men misunderstand. Women aren't drawn to the guy who explodes with desire. They're drawn to the guy who feels that desire. and holds it. Let's take a practical example. You're sitting next to her. She's looking good. You feel the tension. You want to reach out, say something flirty, make a move. But instead you breathe. You let the silence sit. You stay calm. She can feel it. And in that moment your control becomes the attraction. She starts wondering, why didn't he lean in? Why didn't he try harder? And that curiosity turns into fantasy. She fills in the gaps herself. She imagines your reasons, your standards, your discipline. And she starts painting a picture in her mind where you're stronger than the other men she knows. That's what I mean when I say she romanticizes your self-control. It's not about being cold. It's not about ignoring her. It's about having such a deep awareness of your emotions that they don't own you. You own them. And when you move like that, when you operate from centered masculine energy, she doesn't just notice, she remembers. Because you didn't try to impress her, you impressed her anyway. Now here's the key, this isn't a tactic. You can't fake this kind of energy. You don't act controlled, you become controlled. And that takes practice. It takes stillness. It takes restraint. It takes being the kind of man who doesn't flinch in the face of chaos, who doesn't overreact when tempted, and who doesn't hand over his power to anyone, even her. You want to stand out? Then stop being the guy who needs her attention to feel validated. Be the guy who gives his attention on purpose, not out of need. That contrast is everything. Women don't just admire that. They crave it. They fantasize about it. They tell their friends about it. Not always with words, but with energy. Because they feel safer, more challenged, and more alive around a man who doesn't give it all away. So next time you feel that urge to overshare, pause. Next time you want to prove how much you're into her, breathe. Next time you think showing vulnerability means spilling every emotion, remember, she's not attracted to emotional chaos. She's attracted to emotional command. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced this? Have you ever held back when it counted and noticed how it changed the whole vibe? Leave a quick comment, something simple like, "I've felt this," or "That hit." Your story might be the exact thing another man needs to see today. And if you're really getting value from this and you want to go deeper into these masculine principles, hit subscribe. Better yet, join the members-only Stoic Circle. That's where the real sharpening happens. Quiet space, strong insights, no fluff. Stick around. Part 9 goes even further. Let's keep building. Number 9. She softens when you don't chase. Let's talk about one of the deepest dynamics most men overlook. It's simple, but powerful. She softens when you don't chase, not when you ignore her. Not when you're rude, but when you don't chase. There's a big difference. Chasing is about trying to win approval. It's that energy of, "I hope she picks me." You start texting too much. You get nervous when she doesn't reply fast. You try to prove you're good enough. And suddenly, without realizing it, you've flipped the script. You're no longer leading, you're following. And women feel that. Now here's what most guys don't understand. Women don't respond to constant pursuit the way you think. Sure, at first they might enjoy the attention, but too much of it too soon, without her earning it, it creates pressure. It kills the mystery. And it makes her question whether you're really the man she wants, or just another guy afraid to lose her. But when you stop chasing, when you relax, stay grounded, and let things unfold without forcing them, that's when she starts softening, emotionally, energetically, physically. She leans in, she opens up. She becomes more playful, more curious, more responsive. Why? Because now she's not reacting to pressure, she's reacting to presence. And presence is what masculine energy is built on. It's the difference between saying, "Please like me," and saying, "I'm good either way." That quiet confidence changes everything. It gives her the space to come toward you, to choose you on her own terms. And that choice is what makes the connection powerful. Let me give you an example. You meet a woman. There's chemistry. You connect. But instead of blowing up her phone or trying to force something, you keep your rhythm. You stay focused on your life. You respond when it makes sense. You're calm, grounded, and you don't seek her validation. What happens? She starts wondering. Not because you're playing a game, but because you're not clinging. You're showing her in real time that your world doesn't revolve around her, and that's the exact kind of man women do want to be a part of. That's when she softens. She feels safe to express more, to reveal more. She knows you're not trying to control her or mold her, and she feels free around you. Most men don't give her that space. They try too hard, push too much, and it makes her put her guard up. But you're different, because you don't need her energy. You enjoy it, but you're not desperate for it. That right there is irresistible. Now here's where it gets deeper. When you don't chase, you're not just shifting the dynamic with her, you're shifting something inside yourself. You're stepping into self-respect, into emotional strength, into trust in your own worth. And women sense that. Even before you speak, even from across the room. It's in the way you walk, the way you sit, the way you hold eye contact without trying to impress. And when you combine that with real masculine presence, she doesn't just soften, she melts. So if you're finding yourself always trying to win her over, pull back. Not out of strategy, out of integrity. You don't need to prove anything. You're not chasing a prize, you're building a connection. And if she's the right woman, she'll meet you halfway. And if she doesn't, she was never going to respect you anyway. Now I want you to think about this. What would happen if starting today you stopped chasing and started leading? What would shift in your energy, your posture, your boundaries? Try it. Watch what changes. You'll be surprised how different the response is when you finally let go of the chase. And if this hit home for you, drop a comment below. Something short like "I'm done chasing" or "I've seen this work." It lets me know you're part of the few who actually get it. Stick around, because part 10 is coming next, and it's about how silence speaks louder than effort. Let's finish strong. Number 10. Silence makes her lean in. Let's be honest, most guys are terrified of silence. They think if they're not talking, texting, joking, explaining, or filling the space, she'll lose interest. That if they pause even for a second, she'll drift. But here's the twist. In the right hands, silence isn't a gap, it's a weapon. Silence makes her curious. It makes her feel something. It pulls her in. Why? Because it does something words can't. It forces her to tune in to what's unsaid. That pause before a response. That moment, you just hold eye contact instead of speaking. That time you let a moment linger instead of rushing to break it. It tells her something, that you're not in a rush, that you're not desperate, that you don't need to prove yourself, that you're at home in your own presence. And that makes her want to lean forward, to figure you out, to fill in the blank. Silence can be more seductive than any compliment you could throw at her. And here's why. Words are predictable. Every guy has a line. Every guy says, "You're so beautiful," or "I like you so much," or "I can't stop thinking about you." But silence makes her wonder what you're thinking. That space creates mystery, and mystery, that's magnetic. It allows her to become active in the interaction, not just reacting, but wondering, imagining, questioning, wanting. Now don't mistake silence for stonewalling. You're not being cold, you're not punishing. You're being intentional. When you go silent, you're saying, "I don't need to fill every second to be valuable." That level of control, that calm energy, it's rare. Most guys are noisy because they're nervous. They're scared of what she might think if they're not entertaining or impressive 24/7. But when you use silence, you communicate the opposite. "I don't need to prove anything. I'm here, I'm grounded, and I'm enough." That kind of presence makes her drop her guard. It's not about manipulation. It's about truth. When you're comfortable in silence, you're telling her you're comfortable in your own skin. that you don't need noise to feel important. And that kind of quiet power doesn't just attract her, it earns her respect. She starts to lean in physically, emotionally. She listens harder, watches more closely, because something about you doesn't feel like the rest. You're not trying to keep her entertained. You're giving her space to connect with something real. And here's the key: silence must be backed by energy. If you're quiet but anxious, she'll feel that. It'll come off as awkward or insecure. But if you're quiet and calm, confident, collected, she'll feel safe, intrigued, invited in. Use this in your presence, in the way you text, in how you show up on dates, in how you respond when she pushes for reactions. Sometimes your silence is the most powerful message you can send. Let her lean in, let her ask, let her feel. Because when you don't rush to fill the gap, she'll start to fill it herself, with desire, with curiosity, with respect. And in those quiet moments is where the real connection forms. Before we move on, I want you to try this. The next time you're in a moment with a woman, don't rush to fill the silence. Sit in it. Own it. Watch what happens. And if you've ever seen a woman lean in during silence, drop a quick comment below. Say, "I've used silence. Now I get it." Your voice might spark something in another guy who needs to hear it. And hey, if you've made it through all 10 parts of this video, you're not just watching, you're growing, you're evolving. You're stepping into a version of yourself that doesn't just chase attention, but commands respect. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't just watch, join the movement. Tap into the kind of content that keeps you one step ahead in both mindset and relationships. And if you're ready to take it deeper, become a Stoic Quotes 365 member today. You'll get early access to exclusive videos, member-only insights, and direct tools to help you sharpen your edge every single week. Thanks for watching. See you in tomorrow's video.